So a little bit about myself. Kevin Swift, Twitter's K-Dog. Yes, I'm that old that I don't have to alter just my name and last name for a Hotmail account. I 35 plus years. I did the math last night. 37. Started my career at the NCAA Division III level as a defensive coordinator in the SCIAC, which is a little Division III conference in Southern California. Realized that in the early 90s, no, actually mid 80s, I'm older. In the mid 80s, nobody at Division III who was an assistant was making any money. So went back to my background, big high schools in Southern California, Orange County. I was an assistant D coordinator at several large high schools in Southern California. And upon having our first child, my wife and I decided we wanted to get out of Southern California, move to rural Oregon. So a little bit about Gold Beach. It's a small coastal rural town, small high school, under 225 enrollments. I think we're down to 125 now. 20 years as the head coach here. We've had a heck of a ride. The kids have made us as coaches look really good. Kids win games, not us. And they've done a wonderful job buying in to our vision and sharing it. We're an I-back team. I call it a half a flex bone. Sometimes we'll come out with a wing, but we always have a tight end. We've been fortunate enough to play in 5 state title games, and the kids blessed us with a couple titles in 07 and 11. Again, we are an option team, and I'll show you a little bit of that, kind of set it up. One of the things that we believe is our opinion that student athletes and kids win championships, not system or coaches. Well, we as coaches at Gold Beach take a great deal of pride in our schemes. It's our relationship with our students that is the foundation of our program's culture. I want to thank all of you for allowing me to share some of the things our kids do really well. We're an option team. This is the 2000 state final against Vail Vikings, another rich tradition, Oregon high school, and you're going to see inside veer. It's what we do. I mean, it's like Nebraska from the 70s. That's our bread and butter, guys. We're going to run inside veer, outside veer, lead, load, and all those things that go with a triple option attack. So what do we see defenses do against us? Being a defensive coordinator, I really wanted to not be an I-back team because we all know the fullback takes you to the play. And when I got here in 97, we really wanted to be split backs, but Gold Beach seems to produce kids who are definitely fullbacks and kids who are definitely tailbacks. So after looking at some of the things Nebraska did, we went to I-backs. And so we know they're going to key our fullback. We know they're going to jump our fullback. So we use that to our advantage with our, huge complementary play that we're talking about today. Counter Trey. They'll slant their defensive line or belly flop their DTs. One of the standard coaching things for defensive line coaches to do is you're getting double teamed, sit down and spin, try to make a pile, try to blow the running lane. We typically see 8-9 in the box, cheating up their safeties. We usually make them burn. We for an option team, we have a considerably better passing attack than most teams, C and triple option teams, and we've been able to use that to our advantage. And then they tip what they're going to do by alignment choices. You can't. One of the reasons that a defensive guy like me chose the option is I never claimed to be really smart. It's a system where if they're doing this, it tells you to go there. If they're doing that, it tells you to go there. And Being a good Catholic kid, Catholic educated kid, I follow the rules. So that's kind of what we see. Here's what we see defensively. Some of it, teams still see today. We get a lot of nose guards, and we'll get either 3 or the latest craze now is the 4-eye. And we were playing 4-eye defensively clear back in 97. Again, one of the things I really love about high school is I think that's where the most innovation comes from in our game. Here we go. This is a double eagle or bear or whatever you want to call it. Our centers and our guards are covered. Again, that alignment changes from 3 shade to 4-eye shade. We find because of our success running the inside veer, they really want to put somebody in the B gap with the idea that it can slow us down. And then we always, not that many people would defend us this way, but like most head coaches, you learn to run it against your own defense first. And we're a G and tough team from the Coach Lambert years at University of Washington. So there's our G front. So counter Trey is what we do. I went to Catholic high school. When I moved up here, Bob Lattiser was kind of hitting his stride at De La Salle here on the West Coast. Marvelous coach, marvelous program, great lessons that they teach your kids. But their number one play that complemented their veer option attack, that took advantage of what people were doing them and the same thing to us, is counter Trey. It complements our fullback dominated option game. Being an old defensive coordinator, you see an I team, you say, hey, fullback's going to take you to the ball. And the fullback does take you to the ball in our offense, unless we're running counter. And you'll see some clips where linebackers literally jump the fullback, and my tackle doesn't have to block anybody coming around the horn because that linebacker's run himself out of alignment, anticipating inside veer. Defensive adjustment, setup, blocking. We see people in our B gaps all the time. And this is, I think, one of the things that makes us a little unusual as a veer team. Usually you get B gaps, you're going to run outside veer. If you get an even, you got someone in the 3 shade, you're going to run midline. Option rules, option philosophy says, run at the bubble in the defense, don't run at the lineman. And while I believe that's true, I think you got to build an offense around what your kids like to do. And Gold Beach kids are hunters, fishermen, hikers. A lot of kids going to the military. We like being physical. So we're going to run inside veer at a 3 shade and at a 4-eye shade. We'll run inside veer. Like everybody, and I picked this up from Boise State during their run under Coach Peterson. We see a lot of crashing ins and the 4-eye, and sometimes those disrupt our counter Trey, getting that tackle pulled. So we tag it. We'll call, instead of calling counter, we'll call Chevy, and Chevy tells the tackle he's blocking base, he's not pulling. And the fullback, who's offset in the eye, will become the tackle on the counter. And again, another thing we have that takes advantage of those ends crashing and disrupting the counter game is we have a nice little naked boot off of it. If we get guys cheating, none of this is, I'm honored to do this. I think what we do is really fundamentally sound and great. It's nothing earth-shattering, coaches. There's guys in your state, in your section, in your state running this stuff. It's nothing earth-shattering. Just maybe some ways we teach it or talk about it might help you out. One of the things I've learned over the years is finding the right word that triggers the right response from your kids. and every place you go, those words kind of have to change. So if you can just pick up on maybe some verbiage that helps you guys become successful, that would be great. So you can't talk about counter without talking about what your interior is doing. And so that top diagram is what we call base. Our center would be going flat to the 3 shade. It's a hell of a block. It's a tough block. We teach them to go flat so we can get them. That nose is in a 2-eye, and the guard will block down on them. Our tackle is going to step and seal that B gap, anticipating that nose may in turn cross face him, try to blow up the B. He's going to be slow up to the linebacker. We really think your best chance for success with this play is securing level 1 defenders, taking care of those, make sure you don't get any penetration. So he's gonna look for a possible double team if that nose crosses the guard's face, and he's gonna get up. And then down below, the kids call it double stuff. Basically the guard and the center blocking down. The tackle would release up onto a linebacker, and then slam, which is that double eagle 46 look where they're all coming down and slamming. I added this slide. I'm from Oregon, and while I'm not an Oregon Duck diehard fan, I enjoy the Pac-12. So we all saw a really good Iowa State team kind of handed to the Ducks. And the 4-eye or the tight is a huge thing now. So here's the way we would block it. We would double team that nose to get them out of there. We would down with our tackle on that 4-eye and wash him. And then we could block it traditionally, hope that our fullback can dig that 4-eye out, hope that we can cross his face. Chances are we won't. If he's down in a 3 shade, we like running it. If we get a guy in that 4-eye, like the diagram, like Iowa State does, we're going to run Chevy. We're going to let our tackle block that guy, and we're going to wrap with our fullback. So, that's kind of the rules there for our interior guy. I came up here as a defensive back linebacker, secondary coach, and it's a small rural town, finding line coaches with tough. So my first 10 years at clinics, I hung out with all the big boys who like to eat and tried to become an efficient offensive line coach. And I think the jury might still be out. So here's kind of here it is on the old huddle playmaker, baby. This is counter Trey week against our defense. We run, like I said, we're G and tough. We call this 43. So again, exactly what the rule said above. The center's going to block away from the call. He's going to block the 3 shade. He's got to go flat. We tell him he's got to practice. He's got to step on the guard's foot, or where the guard's foot was, in order to get it. It's a tough block. Now, we'll have our guard help him out by narrowing his split down. We'll do what is necessary to help him out. So the play side guard is going to block the nose tackle, the 2-eye shade. Play side tackle, like I said earlier, is going to seal the B gap. He's going to anticipate that nose is going to try to cross face, anticipate a double team. No double team there. He'll get up to the linebacker and secure the B gap. Our tight end on the back side will arc to give the illusion of option game coming that way. That's our base. There are things that people do that we don't arc, and you'll see that in some film. Backside guard, you're pulling to the call, and you're going to kick out the last man on the line of scrimmage, usually the defensive end. If he's going to wrong arm you, you're going to log him. And that's probably one of the things we work the most in the off season is identifying shoulder and when it's a kick out and when it's a log. Play side tackle, he's pulling. He's a little bit deeper. He's a little bit deeper so he doesn't get caught up in the guard's foot. He's a little bit deeper so he can swing his hips up through the hole, looking inside first. If the guard kicks him out, he's sealing up inside, sealing the backside backer. If it's logged, he's turning the corner and he's blocking, not blacking, I don't know how blocking the first opposite colored jersey. Obviously, our wide receivers are coming off and stock blocking. Backside is going after Chevy. Fullback drive away from the play call to the outside leg of the backside tackle. You're going to scrape off that backside tackle's hips to seal the trail of opposite colored jerseys. Tailback, you're going to jab, giving the illusion of option. You're going to take your time. You're going to come back, get your shoulders back square to the line of scrimmage while the ball's being seated, head down hill, reading the backside guard's block on the DN and run to daylight. I think the biggest coaching point that we have to teach our kids, your tailback in the option or your wing in the option, you got to go fast. The pitch is fast, getting that orbit motion, getting in pitch relationship is fast. We got to slow our kids down in counter. We got to let the blocks develop. We got to let what we're selling, sell them. So here is counter option week. It's a quarterfinal game against a quality team. They're in Hawkeye, what we call 53 Hawkeyes, basically a double eagle look. We are not going to arc our tight end on this because of the proximity and what they do with this outside backer. This is a play I called early in the game, and I knew it was there. And I kind of got taught from my father's generation of coaches to probe a defense, find what's there, and then maybe put it away for a later time. So we ran counter in the first quarter for about 9-10 yards. It was a good-looking play. It was there. It's now the fourth quarter. We're up by 8. It's 3rd and 7, and everybody in the stands is screaming, "You got to throw, Swift!" And this was the time where my mentors growing up back in the age of dinosaurs told me to unleash what I had found. So this is kind of the straw that broke their back. And you'll see this backer here literally runs himself out of the play, chasing our fullback. My tackle don't have anyone to block. So kind of put a nail in the coffin for a good Umatilla team. But again, that kind of illustrates, counter's only going to work for us if we're pounding inside veer. If we're making them fear our fullback, if we're making them fear inside veer, outside veer, lead doesn't do it for us. You give me an option team and run in lead, but they don't seem to jump the fullback as much when on lead because they know it takes time to develop it. You spend a quarter, 2 quarters, banging 3.5, 4 yards running inside veer, and they're having trouble stopping it. Those backers start cheating, and that's what those guys in the box are looking for to tell me. So here, we're running flanker back to the strong side against a Hawkeye look. Again, it's a slam call. So the offensive center, the play side guard, play side tackle are all blocking down. We teach them to try to get their head in front of the numbers so that we don't get any penetration if you miss. We hope by telling them to aim to get the head across the bow of the defensive lineman, we actually get it somewhere on their shoulder pad to drive them. If we see helmets on the back side of linemen, we know we're having a problem penetration-wise. So, we tell them that, you don't have to blow the guy up, which we can't get penetration. The defensive end, the tight end releases inside and takes an inside release to the strong inside backer. Obviously, the play start guard and play side tackle are doing the same thing they did in the week. We're going to kick out the defensive end usually. If he's giving us the wrong arm, we're going to log him and bounce it outside. We're doing, the backfield, the receivers are doing the same thing. So here you go. This is a first round playoff game here in 2013 against the Central Lynn Cobras. I bet you guys didn't know there were Cobras in Oregon. It surprised me too. So we're gonna run counter back to the strong side here because we have set it up by attacking their weak side most of the game. And again, we're running counter, not necessarily to score, but to move the chains. I think, guys sometimes run plays and expect them to pop. I want counter. We tell inside veer, outside veer, you got to get 4 yards. Lead, you got to get, 6 to 7. We want counter to get between 7 and 9 yards for us. So, here we go. See how we do. They're high school kids. Boom. And we mash for about 8 yards. While we're an I team, knowing that people jump our fullback, I'll put him in quick. And when people see us in quick, they're thinking lead with a crack by the right receivers, or they're thinking outside veer if I set it to the strong side. So right here is an example of us leading the defense to believe that we're going to run lead to the quick side with a crack. That's a play we use quite a bit if people see it. So we set it up, and by doing so, give us a look at counter. We'll do the same thing to the strong side. All of a sudden, everybody thinks we're going to run outside veer because we like to set that guy. It's a little bit better angle, a little easier for young kids at time to hit that outside veer when you're in strong rather than I-backs. We do it in I-backs, but that kid's usually a 2-3 year starter. When our fullbacks come into the program and we're going to run outside veer at the lower levels, we always start strong. Number one, he gets to the mesh point at the timing that we want, the angle we want. Running veer out of straight eye, it's tough. You better be experienced. So we're setting it up to the strong side, setting that up. And this is 2004 first round game against the winningest coach in Oregon history, named Dewey Sullivan, out of Ohio. Came west and established a small school power. He's a legend, and I was fortunate enough to meet him towards the end of his career, and probably even more fortunate to steal one from him in a first round playoff game at our place. So our fullback is set strong. So, these guys are thinking veer. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the box. We came out throwing a lot in this game. Rumor in the state is Swift doesn't want to throw, and while I would prefer not to throw, you put 9 in the box, we're going to throw really well. But we saw something here, and we took advantage of it. So again, this is flank strong, counter right, coming back to the weak side, making them think we're going to run veer to the strong side. Good kick out, good wrap. One of our faster kids over the years. So you got to jump up on a lead, on a legend. As I said earlier in it, we're primarily I, but we're not exclusive I. We'll run what we call half a flex bone. You can see the wingback acer, basically a one back or fullback, and our tailback lines up as a wing. Because we're a small group, a small school, we don't have personnel groups. A lot of you guys would have A backs, B backs, and then you'd substitute and receivers and stuff like that. We carry about 33 kids on the roster, and we got about, when we have really good years and we're being successful, we got between 15 and 17 kids on the field. But there's some years where there's 12, 13, that's it. So our kids have to know, how to play tailback. It's several looks. So again, the blocking's all the same. We went over that. We're going to show orbit motion. Again, we're going to have the fullback going to block. So we're going to get people jumping. And we're going to run come back with counter to the weak side. Again, being a defensive coach and knowing the tendencies that we create offensively by what we do, our biggest chore as coaches is having plays that break those tendencies, calling those plays that are going to take advantage of the defense guessing based on how we've conditioned them to what we're doing. So here we go. Quarterfinal game in 2011 with our last state championship team against the Regis Rams, another good small school program in Oregon. So there's that orbit motion. We boom. And we don't get ideally what we want on that front side. This hand's asking to be kicked out. And our guard's a little deep. So he has trouble seeing that. One of the things they don't do is they don't stop. I think the biggest mistake guards and tackles they get there and they're not sure, so they slow down and stop. And it's one thing to do something wrong. It's another thing to add to it by doing another thing wrong. Again, he should be kicking this guy out. He's too deep. He's not seeing it right. So he thinks he's going to log, but he doesn't slow down. And he screws up my pretty talented tackle behind. And they just kind of end up double teaming. And my tailback kind of picks it through. Again, a lot of years I thought the counter, you had to get that great kick out, and you got to get that great wrap around for counter to work. And that's completely opposite. The key to the counter working is those down blocks, is the action by the fullback to get the linebackers taking that false step. While the guard and tackle make the play look beautiful when they're wrapping around, and the illustration and the athletic poetry and motion is all great. It's those just purely physical down blocks that I think, set the table, set the hole. Okay, here's my favorite formation running out of. It's a winger look. It's our trips look. We throw quite a bit of stuff out of this. We run option a whole lot out of this. We run option. We'll do orbit motion and come back and run inside veer to the trips because it spreads people out, makes some of our blocks easier. I love this formation. And it just has been good for us. It's our like I said, it's our trips formation. Here it is against Dayton again in 2006 in the quarters. Little orbit motion, boom, takes his time, great kick out block. My tackle kind of whiffs, but gets a piece of them. And again, speed kills. I would not be telling you guys the honest that some of what makes us the success we have is our kids, because they're active in hunting and fishing and out there hiking and all that. They're pretty darn fast. This is 2004 semis against a league opponent, and you guys know how hard it is to beat somebody twice. Years ago, when our superintendent was making some budget cuts, he said, well, you know, we may have to go to playing each other twice in league. And I said, great. So you're going to pay us like NFL coaches now, since we got to beat somebody twice. And that was the end of the story, talking about playing somebody twice. But this is Bandon, the Bandon Tigers. They're about an hour north of us. They're our closest league opponent. We beat them in a hard-fought contest in week 7 to win league title. And we both advanced to the semis. And this is our second play of the game. Again, we saw something, so my tight end's not going to arc. But again, we saw something. And watch these down blocks here, guys. I'm afraid those are the blocks that are the difference maker. Look at that. Just a wash. He gets hung up. Nobody can gauge his speed. And we're off to the races. So I got to watch that again. It was kind of fun. But again, you know, it goes back to what I'm saying. We spent a lot of time back here teaching these guys how to pull and kick and wrap around and to do those things. And I'm becoming more and more convinced that the down block opens up the hole. The pullers just keep it open. This was my first really good team here at Gold Beach. I love these kids. A lot of them are very successful adults now. They didn't win a state title. They lost by a point. But they're still my favorite team, because if they don't decide to buy in and do it our way, we don't know if we have 10, 11 years of great success. You always got to have that group of kids that says, hey, let's do it coach's way. Let's quit listening to our parents and quit, you know, saying that he doesn't know what he's talking about, and let's try doing it his way. And this squad bought in hook, line, and sinker. The seniors all took a trip to Southern California for 9 days to work out with Modern Day, one of the premier programs in the nation. They learned that you could work all summer and have a work ethic and still have fun and still have a summer job. So, sorry, reminiscing a little bit there. You know, us old guys do that. So here it is again. This is 06. This is our field. You can tell by the attractive dirt spots that periodically appear after heavy rains. This is Lost River, a team about 5 hours away from us. Good guys. They're the ones that beat us in 04 by a point. So here we are. I mean, I love this formation. This kid's a big 6'4" wide receiver, played junior college ball in California. He did a great job for us. So again, let's watch what happens on the down blocks. Look at that. Man, holy cow. Even old Coach Swift with his artificial knee can run through that hole. Okay. Guards coming to kick out, but their linebackers, my tackle's going to come around with no one really to block because their linebackers have run themselves literally out of it, chasing our inside veer. And there he goes off to the races, Herbie. So here's our Chevy adjustment. And I coaches, I apologize. I got caught up to this, but I just didn't have the time to find them. Sorry. But this is what, and like I said, I got this from Coach Peterson at Boise, watching them run it, and they were getting this guy crashing. You know, they're pulling, and this guy's crashing, and he's getting there before the fullback can get him. He's coming underneath. He's disrupting the play. So again, we'll set our fullback in quick, and they all of a sudden, it took about 4 years for the state to realize I was left-handed, and I am purposely left-handed. So I can tell you what they're thinking. Swift's got quick. He's going to run lead into the boundary because he knows we're a man down over there. So that helps us too. So then, you know, the guard's doing what the guard does. The fullback will take a step, and then he becomes the wrap so that we don't get that penetration. Again, you know, reach out to me in email or on Twitter, and I can get you cut-ups of that. I just didn't, I'm not going to bullshit you. I just ran out of time. And then I know a lot of you thought you were watching football from the 50s because our quarterback's under center. But we were running some RPOs clear back in 2003, long before they were crazy. Quarterback counter out of gun was a huge play for. Here we are at Autzen Stadium, 2004. It's the last time they played the state title games at Autzen. You know, the nice thing about Autzen is you get those great camera angles because of the stadium and the pitch and all that. So we're in quarter here, and I've tagged it with gun, which moves my quarterback back. And there's not a pass attached to this per se this time. This is a pure quarterback counter. Nick McNair, quarterback, runs it beautifully. Boom. Off to the races. Good looking play for us. So, you know, again, you know, being a coach, this is the first year we put in gun. And I told him 4 yards from the ball, and he's closer to 6. You know, we would prefer to have him up here. But again, we do a good job. Not bad for a little two-way high school. I think the thing I'm most proud about these kids and this community is most school our size have to wait for cycles of athletes, kind of wait for that bunch to come through that you know is special. But our kids' commitment to year-round weightlifting, year-round training, year-round football, we don't break any rules. But we have a football class, and we have a 0 period. The kids come in at 10 to 7 every day, and they lift. And as we get closer to the spring, instead of lifting 4 days a week, we drop it to 3. And 2 of the days are football in the gym, no pads. But growing up in Southern California, I'm a huge John Wooden guy. And so we don't call them chair drills because we're not using chairs, but we do can drills where we got trash cans and kids are blocking assignments. Coaches can take a can out and be a moving part for the guy to block. I think the thing that has allowed us to sustain it for 10, 12 years, where most schools our size, they don't have that constant flow of athletes. We take a great deal of pride in making our athletes. And that's one of the reasons we run the system we do. It fits our kids' personality. It fits our kids' culture on what they want to be recognized. We want to be a physical, hitch in the mouth team, and we want you to soar the next day knowing you run a battle with Gold Beach. So again, some of the things we've done to help with that crashing in is our counter pass off of it. Again, email me or Twitter. I'll put some clips up. This is wing counter left pass 672. You guys know as well as I do, 90% of the time it's going to be the fullback and the flat. Every now and then we'll get somebody sleeping and get an easy one, but it's usually fullback and the flat or the Z on the drag in the center of the field that we hit. Same principle out of twinner. Give them a two-back look. Coming back to the weak side, twinner counter right, back to pin. We got, here's the pin route, and here's the back with the drags. I would, I'm here. I think this is good. Here's my information again, guys. I love talking football. I'm the keeper of the football tool chest that we've created on Twitter under the hashtag high school football coaches. The link is pinned to my Twitter. But unlike Glacier's Drive, which is great, I purchased it, I got it. The football tool chest that I run with 3 other guys throughout the country is all free resources. And if you're like a lot of high school football coaches, sometimes you have trouble sleeping at night, and late night TV sucks. So, you can pull up a laptop let's do this. Let's just take the time to show you it. Let's do that. We're in Google Drive. Come here. And here it is. You get the football tool chest. You got a million folders in there. Here's the new. This is stuff that's been added in the last 6 months. I'm getting ready to move it, but you can go in there and find cut-ups. Cut-ups from 2020, cut-ups, flex bone stuff. I know that Coach Yaz from Minnesota or Wisconsin, I get the two mixed up. I don't get them mixed up, but I have trouble. He's got the college playoffs that we just had, and he's got the all-22 already up there. One of the other things that we're doing, I'm a big proponent of the beauty of high school football. So we're collecting now high school film. I watch them talk, Aledo, I think, just won. And right there is Aledo from last year. So, and one of the things being a social studies teacher, historian, I wanted to create something in the Smithsonian or Library of Congress for high school football. My love, my passion for the game, to preserve it and hand it off to future generations. And I think it's great that people make money. And I think people, with what we get paid and the world we live in, that's great. That's not who I am. And obviously, I got quite a bit of coaches out there that want to ensure the game. So I think the great thing about the tool chest, and I would encourage all of you to get on and look at it, is it's all free. And all you got to do is copy the file. It becomes yours. You can edit it. So I would encourage, someone asked me why I did this, and I'll be honest, I did it to save marriages. We all run around the country every off season. How do I enlarge this, Coach? I'm handicapped. Stop sharing. There we go. I know when I was a young coach, every weekend you were spending $100 of school money or $100 of your own money chasing down that dream of that play, that system then we're going to put you over the top. And that puts a whole lot of burden on our lovely brides and our young children. And don't get me wrong, I love clinics, and we're now, my children are old enough and my wife's old enough. My daughters help run the Nike clinic in the state, and we go. But I think any opportunity I can create for a young family to keep a dad home, and still learn the game and be passionate. So yeah, I said I did it to save marriages. Being a good football coach, like any good occupation, takes a lot of extra time and a lot of extra work, and that stress usually falls on wives and children at home. And so it's been a pleasure talking to you. I think this is great that we're doing clinics on Zoom, and coaches can sit and have a morning coffee while kids are watching cartoons and get it. I mean, the technology and what it's allowing for us to do the game is great. I wish I knew more about it. I could do it myself. I'm an old 16 millimeter guy still. But Nick, it's been a pleasure. I think this is great what you're doing. Guys, reach out. I don't have anything magical X and O wise. I really don't. And I do have some ideas on how to create relations, how to get buy-in, how to sustain, how not to cry at senior night when your kids are leaving and you have so much and you're like, man, the coach can't cry. So, I learned, when I was young, like a lot of you are, I thought X's and O's was the magic of the game to win and get to those state titles and championships I want. And my dad used to laugh at me and say, you're going to find X's and O's don't mean squat. And now at 61 and having done this, I don't think they mean squat, but you're ultimately going to be successful or unsuccessful based on the relationship and culture you establish with your kids. We ran the veer. I could have run any offense for 10 years and we were going to win. And it's because I was smart enough to see I had some good teams and get out of their way. But it was our culture. It wasn't the veer or the G and tough that beat people. It was Gold Beach's culture. And I'm a firm believer in that. And it's good to see when I started doing clinics, if you wanted to talk about culture, they'd say, nobody wants to hear that crap. They want to see the X's and O's. They want to see what you're doing. And it's good to see that the Randy Jacksons and some other guys have brought the idea that our relationships and the culture we established with our kids is the key to success. So appreciate it. I'm going to sign off. Thanks again, Nick. Appreciate it. You're doing a great job. I know that at 61, I think the game's left in really good hands. And I'm really excited about that. So thanks, guys.